thankfully. Great start. Slick. Yeah.
What's going on?
Great camera work.
Mate, Ryan live. I can't even see the chat. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Three's a Crowd, the Northeast Footy Show podcast. It is me, Ryan, live from the holidays down here in a 37-degree Australia, lads. You're lucky I'm not wearing pants or shorts. It's too hot, so that's
You're
why
not
the
wearing
camera
them.
will stay. No, the camera will stay upside today if we can.
Right.
Whoa, I almost dropped it. Teddy boy coming in live from Cyprus Legend. How are you, dude? Good to see you.
I'm not great, mate. I've got horrendous man flu. Jacob Larson, if you're watching, thank you very much for this. Just because you hate Christmas doesn't mean you have to pass it on to me. I don't think I've sat in front of a computer with this much tissue since Pamela Anderson made a holiday movie.
Get in. Thank you, Jacob, for that one. And Mr. Steve Wraith coming off a fresh tractor, a little bit of a tractor pull last night, mate. What a big win. Good to see you, Steve, as always. Happy holidays. Hope you're well.
Same to you, man.
Welcome to Three's the Crowd, the Northeast Footy Show podcast. We have got a lot to do. We are on a Sunday getting around everyone's Christmas holidays and breaks. Thank you for joining us as always. Make sure to check out the socials at NUFC Matters, at Ted the MACKEM, and at Inrictus. We are talking Middlesbrough, Sunderland, and Newcastle once a week right here on Three's the Crowd podcast. Let's kick it off with Sunderland getting a massive win yesterday. Can you believe it? Joe Bellingham. He's off to Madrid in just under a fortnight, so we don't need to worry about it too much longer, Borough fans. But look, the MACKEMs seemingly finding a way, Teddy boy, each and every week to everyone's surprise, knocking off the Canaries yesterday, which was an incredible win, going 1-0 down to bring it back 2-1. A goal to Dan Ballard and obviously Bellingham as well. I mean, Regis Lacheese seems to keep finding a way, and he's done it again.
Yeah, I'll pick her up on that one. I don't think we should be surprised now. We're now pretty much halfway through the season, and we're still up there. I said from the start we wouldn't be top all season. That's nigh on impossible. It's a very, very competitive division. But you're right in what we're saying. We're grinding these results out, and when you can play not at your best, i.e. the Swansea game away and this game as well, and still come out of that with 6 points, then you've got something to believe in. I thought it was an awful game, especially the first half. I mean, the most interesting thing in the first half was like a Chris Patrick tornado that seemed to go across the pitch. But that was about the most exciting thing. Referee was awful, absolutely awful. 10 yellow cards dished out in that game yesterday. All right, he was consistent. He kept on dishing the card out. I don't know whether it was just cold and he wanted to put his hands in his pockets or something. I don't know, but it changed with the sending off. I think we've got a little more of a grip on the game. It was just, I don't know whether it was the conditions. There was just something not quite clicking in the final third in the first half, and for much of the second half as well. Got the foothold when it's a great thing to have when you're 1-0 down and think, well, we're still not out of this. And the last two games have now proven that we're 2-0 down at Swansea, 1-0 down yesterday. And there's still a belief among the team that you can come back and grab all 3 points. That's priceless. That so there's a bit of proving it to themselves that it can be done. We've got a very, very tough run of games over the Christmas period. It's by no means done in the slightest, but there's a bit of optimism there now. And when you can beat a good side like Norwich as well, mind you, go down a bit easy. I was quite surprised at that. I thought they would have been a bit more physical than that. But yeah, they were, especially the Borges, the striker, who, to be honest, I think he's probably still stuck in Dan Ballard's pocket. He never got a sniff all afternoon. It was a really, really good job on him. Strange team selection. Trey Hume was actually dropped for the start of the game. Luke O'Nien preferred a right back, which raised a few eyebrows. But when you look at the amount of games that's coming up, you've got to rotate that squad a little bit and just keep people fresh. I think there'll be certainly one eye on that January the 1st game against Sheffield United, which, at the Stadium of Light, I think that's going to be one that's everybody's going to be rested and fit for. So, listen, great. We motor on. We keep taking 3 points. That gap gets bigger against the Borough. And I firmly believe, I've been looking at the fixtures, I reckon if we are in the top 4 on January the 18th, we'll get promoted. I'm
big
going
call
to the
from
wall
you,
and saying
Ted,
that.
boy. Wow, that is a big call coming out of the Mackem's mouth. I mean, the big thing for me, obviously, and we've spoken about it every week, I believe, for the last couple of weeks, about the likes of Bellingham, and the likes of, just the young stars, obviously Chris Rigg as well at Sunderland. I mean, do you feel at all at ease knowing that Sunderland could be heading into the January window with in a better position to be able to well done, neighbours. Sorry, thank you. Cheers for the caravan purchase as well. We're loving it. Would you feel going in as a Sunderland fan, or should they feel, Teddy boy, at all more secure knowing that Bellingham and Rigg and that might buy into? Oh, hang on, we've got a bit of a chance here to have a bit of a push.
Yeah, 100%. Bearing in mind that Rigg's only 17, Job's only 18. They've got a lot of development to go before they even have to think about a move. If they let's get to the end of this season, if we do get promoted, then what better way for them to get more development than is to have a pop in the Premier League and try their best. And somebody like Lebris, who's gone on record as saying that his whole thing is developing young players. And clearly, at this moment in time, something's working with that. Job's been exceptionally. He tired a little bit against Swansea. He was a little bit sloppy, but I think also Dan Ballard was partly to blame for that. But he's a young kid, and their development compared to this time last year has just come on leaps and bounds. Riggy now is playing like an experienced pro at the age of 17. So yeah, we do take a lot of comfort out of the fact that the club's headed in the right direction. This time last year, when obviously Michael Beale was in charge, you're thinking, well, we're just going to lose all the prize assets. Any assets that we've got are going to end up going. But it's the hope that kills you. I've been following this lot for 46 years plus now, and they never fail to amaze me with how much they'll let you down and build your hopes up. But forever the optimist. This time it could be different.
I mean, dare to dream, isn't it? That's the life of a football fan. I mean, we ride the lows, which you had last season plenty of, but then you get to ride the highs, which is seemingly, to everyone's surprise, I think you most at the start of the season would have sat there and said your Leeds, your Sheffield United, the teams that come down from the Premier League, knowing how big that gap is becoming between Premier League and Championship, you'd probably expect that top 3. But Sunderland have surprised everyone, especially the way you finished off last season, the tumultuous run with the changings of managers and all this sorts of stuff. But they've seemingly found a way and seemingly unearthed a gem in a largely unknown, maybe to a more English-based crowd in Regis. I mean, I think he's pushing away decent top-flight managers, and he's coming up tactically every week. I mean, Norwich were no mugs, but Sunderland seem to be able to keep them away. Borja signs, obviously the top scorer of the championship as well, out in the wing there for Norwich. So yeah, no, look, it's a credit to Regis, I think, and the work he's doing that. Come Christmas, you're now right up there with the best of them, sort of thing. So we need to talk more about them without that surprise nature, and maybe some people need to start taking them a little bit more seriously, i.e. the Borough come early January. No, obviously it was a very good win for Sunderland going into Boxing Day now. But speaking of good wins, Stevie McWraith, my, how the Tractor Boys came up and ran out of petrol pretty quickly in an absolute thrashing by NUFC yesterday. Made Isaac with a hat-trick. A man just goes from strength to strength. I tell you, you've had injury woes in the striking department. You've got a youngster that you signed from Sheffield United, but I tell you what, Isaac, is he the best striker at Newcastle United?
No doubt about it. I mean, what a result that was. Coming off the back of a great week. Newcastle, of course, into the semi-finals of the Carabao Cup. We've had some great runs in recent seasons. We got to the final, of course, a couple of seasons ago. Quarterfinals last year, narrowly defeated by Chelsea, a game we should have won. this year back into the semi-finals after a convincing win against Brentford, who just didn't turn up. Really found it strange the way that Brentford set up midweek, not playing Mbuma or Mbuemo, as most of us like to call him. But it was a strange affair, that. But look, credit to Newcastle. Demolished Leicester, demolished Brentford, and now demolished Ipswich on the road, which, pundits such as Don Goodman, former Sunderland striker, of course, said that Newcastle would collapse at Portman Road. It was inevitable and that they would not be able to do the business. And Eddie Howe, once again, making the critics eat their words. First time that Newcastle have won back-to-back fixtures 4-0 since 1998. 26 years since that happened. Amazing. But yeah, we are starting to find our form. And I think what I've said on here and what I've said on NUFC Matters is that the international breaks haven't done us any favours. We've been finding our momentum, and then 4 weeks passes, international break, and it's caused us an issue. Eddie Howe always manages to find a way of putting together a run of results. He gets it out of his players. Everyone's on the same page. And I think that's where we're at. Obviously, season of discontent behind the scenes. Amanda Meerdad leaving, we know that affected it. Darren Eales diagnosed with cancer. Dan Ashworth on gardening leave, and Mitchell coming in, not getting a chance to use a window. Newcastle's PSR issues. The list goes on. Add to that now that Newcastle hadn't been able to pay agents' wages and image right wages in September. Behind the scenes has caused an issue. That was a breaking story from David Ornstein in The Athletic this week. Something which we'd actually heard on NUSC Matters anyway, but we thought, that's going to cause problems, because suddenly players are scratching their heads going, hold on, richest club in the world, why can't why they can't pay this and that and the other? So it's been an amalgamation of things which has caused the distress behind the scenes. And, let's look at these other games as well. I know I'm going off on a bit of a tangent here, but I'm just trying to paint the full picture for those people who don't support Newcastle. And that is that, certain games this season, we've just not put chances away. It's not that we haven't been creating chances. We just haven't put the ball in the back of the net. And, Everton is a prime example. Over 25 shots on goal and we drew 0-0 and we missed a penalty. That kind of result, had those results gone the way that they should have gone, Newcastle would be sitting second. It's incredible. So I've always said it to you lads since we started working together. The season isn't over in December or whatever month it is. The season finishes in May, and that's when we know where we're going to be at. Ted's just saying there that he feels that Sunderland will get promoted, if they are, where they are in that stage in January. And that, it is that kind of confidence and positivity. I think I've said on here with Sunderland, they've in their bad spell, they haven't lost a game. They've drawn games, and Newcastle are doing the same. They're not getting whopped, they're not getting hammered. They're managing to find a way. But yesterday, I was wondering how it was going to be in the midfield. We seem to have found a way of playing Tonali and Bruno together. Tonali more in an 8 role, and it's working. I thought that Joe Linton going out of the team might unbalance us a bit. I think I certainly felt he would have put Longstaff in. He didn't. He went with Willock, which was attack-minded, and it reaped dividends. Newcastle scoring after 26 seconds, and that set the precedent. We were slightly fortunate that Delap wasn't playing. Delap was suspended, but that's the rules. Joe Linton was suspended. They lost Delap. And Delap had scored 6 out of the 16 goals that they'd scored this season. So that was always going to be a bonus for Newcastle. As Barry says, Murphy's shown the kind of form that we needed at this time as well. On the right hand side, that back heel yesterday was sublime. And for me personally, Alexander Isak is shown, the world once again exactly what he is. He's only the 3rd striker in the last calendar year to score over 20 goals, and he's in esteemed company. He's with Haaland, of course, at Manchester City, and Cole Palmer at Chelsea. They're the only 3 strikers to score over 20 goals. So, it's great. It's record breakers, and they're doing well. we're in this busy, and I just did want to say, because I never ever get ashamed of sharing this photo. That was a wonderful game for Newcastle to pay tribute to that man, Sir Bobby Robson, who, ultimately was once again respected by everybody in the crowd, Ipswich and Newcastle fans alike. It's the one connection that we have with Ipswich, and what a great connection it is. Nobody ever forgets Sir Bobby Robson, and no doubt about it, he loved both teams, but he would have been happy with that result yesterday. But the busy Christmas period's upon us now, and this is going to be a wonderful 3 games. I'm really looking forward to getting my teeth into this. Aston Villa on Boxing Day, followed by 2 away fixtures at 2 teams that really, if we're going to be in the top 4 this season, we've got to beat them, Spurs and Manchester United. What a Christmas set of fixtures that is. We've given ourselves a chance. Semi-finals of the Cup, Newcastle United into 7th place in the Premier League, scoring goals for fun, keeping clean sheets. It's been the perfect Christmas present, yesterday's result for Newcastle fans.
Yeah, I think so. And I think coming off the back, let's put that Carabao Cup fixture obviously right in the forefront here. I mean, Sandro Tonali has probably had his fair share of critics, I would say. I mean, he's been in and out of this Newcastle squad. Can he play with Bruno has been the main question. I think rocking up to that Carabao Cup, he really did, absolutely take the bull by the horns. I felt, and made his mark, if not in that Newcastle United squad, but he sort of put everyone on notice, didn't he? I mean, it was an incredible performance by Sandro Tonali against Brentford. It was incredible. Looking at the stats here as they pop up on the screen, I mean, just look at this. I mean, this is the Sandro Tonali that shocked everyone by signing for Newcastle United. No, everyone couldn't believe when it first happened that how has AC Milan gone and lost Tonali and he's ended up at Newcastle United. And we saw that sort of Tonali against Brentford and pushed them aside. Now, the cup draw obviously is never fair to Northeast football teams. I mean, Ted, you had a shocking draw last season, I believe, gave away your bar at some point. I mean, Middlesbrough getting Chelsea, and obviously that's when we got knocked out. But it doesn't get any easier for Newcastle. Now going on to Arsenal, who are quite rumoured. It's obviously the away game first, Steve, followed by the follow-up at Newcastle United. I love that one. I guess, Steve, what was your first reaction when the ball got drawn that it was Arsenal away first up? And secondly, is there a feeling of confidence going in against Arsenal?
Listen, it's a great draw. Anybody you get in the semi-finals, it's going to be tough. I did laugh at that because, and the reason I showed that we discussed that this week. It's not a home draw, for God's sake. We're away first. It's a 2-legged tie. It's unique, isn't it? Because there's a huge gap between the first leg and the second leg. And the way that they've done bookings this season, as well as that, your bookings only count for the Carabao Cup. So Newcastle go into the first leg away at Arsenal without Bruno and Fabian Shaw, which is going to be tough for Newcastle. But it doesn't take place till January. Sven Botman may well have made his reappearance by then. So it'll be interesting how Newcastle set up, what they do, what they choose to do. But essentially, we need to go to Arsenal and get a draw or a narrow defeat, and a win would be great. But if we can come away with something positive and bring them back to St James's Park, I think Newcastle will win that. But it's anybody but Liverpool for me. I would have took Spurs, Arsenal, just not Liverpool. Because at the moment, I think that's probably the toughest tie at the moment. But if you get that final falls in between Champions League coming back, it can it could be anybody's. If we can get through to the final, it can be anybody's. But I'm not bothered about the draw. You've got to beat the best, and if we've got any desires on winning a trophy, we've got to beat the best team. So bring it on. Looking forward to it, mate. And Tonali's been superb. I mean, I put those stats up before.
Yeah,
amazing. What a game that was. An amazing performance against Brentford, but also played well against yesterday. And him and Bruno have found that little bit of magic in between, in between themselves, and how he's found a way of playing them together, which is great news.
I think I posed this question to Ted, obviously with with Bellingham and Rig and stuff like that. I mean, the rumours seem to continue to fly around Isak in particular, obviously. With Newcastle's chances now heading into potentially a Carabao Cup final, silverware on the line, Newcastle in a prominent position now after getting rid of probably 2 players in the summer transfer window where they didn't have to just to get within FFP. Probably no pressure to sell, you would think. I mean, Isak, arguably one of the best strikers going around at the moment. There's going to be no short of a suitor for him. Do you think Newcastle have an easier time hanging on to onto Isak now? If there was any sort of thing going into January?
Just paper talk, mate. Just paper talk. And as are the links with Newcastle's, incomings. Barry Hogan's in the chat. He knocks together a list for me every transfer window. Newcastle have been linked with 82 players so far in about 3 weeks, which is ludicrous, And Eddie Howe's telling everybody that we're probably not going to we're not going to sign anybody. But yeah, this Alexander Isak to Arsenal thing has been dreamt up by the Arsenal fans, and Bruno to Man City has been dreamt up by the Man City fans. I think what I will say on that though is that we all have to be realistic, whether we support Newcastle, Borough or Sunderland, and that is that, players come and go. We're all, us three are old enough and wise enough to know that, and I'm sure most of our viewers are, I think I'll speak for Newcastle, fans in general. My view of what most Newcastle fans do, and we tend to put fans on pedestals. We tend to make out that a player's better than he really is. Well, that's what you do as a supporter. You support your team, you support your players. But we do tend to put people on a pedestal. We've changed our Newcastle fans, and we've got to change. It's slightly a PSR issue, but it's also becoming a bigger club. If we're going to become a bigger club and challenge year in, year out for the Premier League and for trophies, we've got to accept now that we've got to sell players to get better. So Bruno is magic, and he does wear a magic hat, and he is a cult player at Newcastle. But we've got to accept that Bruno's getting older, and it may come a time when we can't turn the money down. We might have to sell Bruno, and it will help our PSR. But that doesn't mean that the Saudis and the Rubens are going to be putting that money in their back pocket and, putting it into other things. They're going to spend it again. It'll help our PSR, and we'll go on and spend that to the next Bruno. So, from our perspective, that's what Newcastle fans, we've got to accept that that's going to be part and parcel of it. And we never saw him into play, so there was no emotional connection. We're watching Anderson blossom at Forest, but we look at it and go, that was acceptable. He was a local player. We trebled our amortization, and it worked out for us, It got us out of that hole. We haven't been fined. We haven't breached the rules. But we're going to eventually do that with a bigger player. Will it be Alexander Isak? Will it be Bruno? Not in this transfer window. Will that happen in the summer? Possibly will with a bigger player. But I think with Eddie Howe at the helm, which I think he will be at the end of the season, going into the next transfer window, I think they'll want to keep Gordon, Isak and Bruno and Tonali and build the team around them. So any paper talk, anybody linking those players to other clubs, it's a compliment. It shows that we've got some class players, but Newcastle are building a team. They're not selling a team. And hopefully, we can have some incomings in January, some outgoings. Miguel Almiron potentially, Martin Dubravka maybe, Callum Wilson in the summer is going to go, of course. So if we can get rid of some of these players, that will help. Local players as well. Any local players, you triple your income on a local player, an academy player. So got to be looking at doing that, I think. And Sunderland suffering the same at the moment. Middlesbrough do as well. Bellingham and Rig constantly linked with Newcastle. You've made the comment about Bellingham and Madrid and Dortmund and all of this. But again, it's a compliment to those players. I don't think those players will want to leave Sunderland. I think they'll want to see the job through because Lebris has come in and got have done really well.
Yeah. No, it's going to be interesting. We're shy of just over a week now going into that January transfer window, and I think it's going to be one that is very interesting for all three clubs. Obviously, Newcastle with that Carabao Cup tie. Can they entice a player or two in there with their PSR? Sunderland right up at the end of the championship. Can they bolster their squad? They've had a few injuries there, Teddy boy, so you might be able to dip in there and sell the ambition of Premier League glory to a few players there, if you've got the money to spend. And Borough constantly fighting off rumours even this week for their agent saying, Emmanuel Latte-Lass saying, of course, he's a striker that's in form, look, he's going to have suitors if he wants. We're not going searching. But look, there's also talk of a Ben Doak recall for Liverpool. I mean, these rumours don't seem to go away for Middlesbrough either. We've got Troll of the Week coming right up very soon, shortly. Stick around very soon. We're going to cover Borough now, though. Unfortunately, Borough fans, it wasn't the prettiest of game against Wayne Rooney and his merry men yesterday. Unfortunately, Middlesbrough coming away with a lucky 3-3 draw down in the longest trip you could make as a Middlesbrough fan, down all the way to Plymouth to take on Wayne Rooney. Michael Carrick, Wayne Rooney, good friends, obviously tuning against each other and trying to get one over each other. It was a horrible night, or horrible afternoon, I should say, at Plymouth. The weather was shocking, but Plymouth going up early doors against the Borough, Middlesbrough being able to bring it back, and it would be the tail of the tape. Plymouth then plugging one, Middlesbrough plugging them back, and then doing it 3 times each to end up in an ugly 3-3 draw for Middlesbrough. I say ugly, and I say this because Middlesbrough, where we're at, we expected to do a lot better than that. Plymouth, bottom of the table, Wayne Rooney in a lot of trouble. And to score 3 goals against us when we're sitting in 6 is at some point we've got to question, how the defence is looking for Middlesbrough. We've had, and I've said this many a time right here on this very podcast, that Middlesbrough's defensive woes have been overshadowed by the amount of goals we've been scoring this season. We've been blowing teams away in Luton, in Oxford, but we haven't kept a clean sheet. The first clean sheet we kept was against Millwall last week in a 1-0 victory. But obviously, last night we weren't able to keep another clean sheet, back that up. We let 3 goals in. And if we want to be up there with the likes now of Sunderland, as much as that hurts us to say, the likes of Sheffield United and the co, we need to shore up our defence. Now, questions going into January. Neto Borges, our left-back Brazilian Borough fans, is he up for the fight? Is he the left-back that we need? Anthony Dyke still obviously fighting it out. Luke Ayling got injured in that Millwall game last week, so where does our right-back situation sit? We haven't seen the likes of Darragh Lenihan. Edmondson on loan from Ipswich has been the only centre-back to have played every game this season. I mean, since coming in on loan. So for me, there's starting to be some cracks. Not cracks, but more questions, Borough fans, around that defensive sort of side of things that I want to look for answers now coming into January. Riley McGree, my Aussie lover from another mother, unfortunately had a bit of a shocker yesterday. Got a lot of questions and comments about that. I was watching the game, obviously in my caravan. Wasn't able to wake the neighbours or wake anyone up. Wasn't able to get the caravan rocking. It was definitely a rock show though for the Plymouth trip. I mean, Ted, you were at
something different.
You're not shy of a few goals down at Wayne Rooney's merry men either. I mean, you were saying obviously in the WhatsApp, mate, 7 goals between us now for Plymouth. I mean, Plymouth seemingly, when it comes to the Northeast team, seems to give us troubles, but obviously they're still bottom of the table. Wayne Rooney's gone and brought in Mike Phelan. Obviously, those would know that name from Man United days. It's a Man United affair now down at Plymouth. Michael Carrick not shy to knowing Wayne Rooney or Mike Phelan there now. Finding 3 goals against Middlesbrough. Look, some people might say it's a shock, but I think if you're close looking into Middlesbrough at the moment, the defence is leaking a few, mate, and it seems to be week in, week out.
Yeah, there's 2 trains of thought here. Plymouth are a better side than what they are playing right now. They actually have got some useful players. They've just got an absolutely dreadful head coach that seems to keep on getting employed for some reason. Same with Lampard. I mean, Coventry got tonked yesterday off Portsmouth, and these people are getting jobs just based on the name or the reputation they had as players. Never, ever going to doubt what they were as players. The likes of Rooney and Lampard, fantastic. But for some reason, we talked about Morgan Whittaker last season as one of the absolute bright, up-and-coming, real standout performers in the Championship. and he's got bags of ability. I still say now, I still think Morgan Whittaker's one of those who could go on and play Premier League football quite comfortably, more so than Jack Clark, because he's got a bit more about his game. Now, he's gone to bits this season, and it can only be instructions that he's been given. I think Rooney is absolutely a walking pantomime of a head coach. He really is. Borough themselves, listen, everybody's giving away these these sloppy goals at the minute. We're doing the same. Again, we lost a goal to a dead ball situation, and I don't think anybody is in the Championship is actually standing apart and being a real class defensive unit. Pains me to say it because we both hate them. Sheffield United probably the only ones where they are really quite tight and cohesive as a defensive unit, but the rest of them, everyone's given those goals away. You look at that game against Swansea, where the first goal that we gave away was absolutely atrocious. Pato should have had that, the keeper. Keeper's ball all day long. Instead, everybody's hesitant. They give it away, and that's that. Sloppy mistakes, giving away the free kick that led to the second goal. It's one of those things where at the minute, and Steve will identify this from a few years back, it's almost like the entertainers' football. It's like, all right, we're going to concede 2, but we're going to score 3. And that's kind of the Championship this season. It's weird. Great to watch as a neutral, as me. Well, it's given us heart palpitations, to be honest. But defensively, nobody's standing out. Those gaps do have to be plugged. But join the queue, mate. I think everyone's giving away sloppy goals.
Yeah, no, it's something that I think Middlesbrough are going to start to look into potentially again. Middlesbrough fans, my question to you, for those in the chat, and if you are watching this back as well, make sure you comment down below what you think each 3 of the Northeast clubs should be looking at in January. We are obviously just over a week away, but Newcastle, Middlesbrough and Sunderland, will it be a case of holding on to our star players? Will it be a case of being able to go and recruit wisely? Who do you think you need as a Middlesbrough or Sunderland or Newcastle fan? Make sure you let us know. We'll pick that up, but it is time for everyone's favourite. It is Troll of the Week.
Yes, some good submissions and some good ones that I found lurking away on the internet. Barton Rovers, this was a good one, which I had found a while back. Deadline day signing news, not to be outdone by the big boys. We've spent $6.99 at home base on a new rake. Non-league, it's how we roll. Starting with Barton, you'll see where I'm going. Manchester City defeated the Etihad. San Marino Football Club said, "Hello, please play against us. I think we can beat you."
Wow.
And keeping on the Man City tone, Pep without Rodri. Harry Hill for our Australian Borough fans. One thing about football fans is we've got good wit. One leg.
That is absolutely superb. Absolute legend.
Well done. Well
Brilliant.
done.
And Jimmy, not quite football related, but still a good bit of trolling here. Magic Mike grossed 167 million. If you still think girls like dad bods, keep dreaming, pal. Sam replied, Shrek grossed 484 million, just so we're clear.
Exactly.
Yes, Sam.
Exactly.
Yes, Sam.
VAR in Sunday League. Cheers, Gary. And the football community, El Bretland. Craig Dawson is Everton's joint second top scorer of the season. He plays for Wolves.
Wow.
But we did start with Barton. We'll finish with Barton. Shearer was a liar and a snake. If Newcastle didn't appoint him, I believe that group would have survived. Don't be telling porkies, Mary Poppins.
Joey.
Definitely the troll of the week this week. If you've got any of those to send us, please send me an email, nufcmatters1892@gmail.com, or send me, Ray, or Ted anything on the internet, on X, and we will feature it.
Welcome back to Three's a Crowd, the Northeast Footy Show podcast. It's great to be here with each and every one of you. We thank you for choosing to hang with us on your Sunday morning. It's been a big weekend of football. There is plenty of football to come over this festive period. And then we go straight into a very big January period. We were talking about this just before. Make sure you let us know down in the comments of each channel what you think your club needs come January. Is it holding on or is it getting rid of? For Middlesbrough, obviously, there's talks this week around Latte Lath, Louis Barry potentially coming from Aston Villa. Will they, won't they? I think is going to be the talk of the town. One thing I wanted to talk to my compatriot Championship MACKEM about was the talk of EFL coming to the Championship nigh soon, Teddy boy. It was talked about this week and rumoured that the EFL could be looking into VAR very, very shortly. Now, it would be a cheap version of VAR coming to the Championship so that the lower league, lower costing clubs don't have to pay for the big video assistant, setup, whatever it may be. Obviously, the likes of Sunderland and Middlesbrough would have no trouble fielding the proper VAR setup, but for the lower league teams that maybe get those shock promotions, whatever it may be, apparently the cost of setting up VAR was deemed too expensive. So they've come up with a model here, Ted, of what they think might work, a 50% off, if you will, VAR discount or something like that they're looking at putting into the EFL or the Championship very, very soon. The Astro VAR, exactly. The discounted one, the one they left out the back.
Look,
I'll start with you, Teddy boy. For me, it's a worry because if I'm going as an EFL fan in VAR, I want the proper thing. I mean, we and the Championship all destined and all play as best as we can to get back into the Premier League. So why not play with the Premier League version of VAR if we're looking at that? Now, to have an abbreviated, a 50% off, a cheaper version of VAR.
VAR, as I just said. Yeah.
I mean, it just seems a little bit, a little bit funny to me there, Teddy boy, that we would take a cheaper version, if you will. How it will work, we don't know. Would it be just the actual, the actual video replay? Would the line, would there be someone in the box on game day? We just don't know. And it's obviously early doors, but it sent a few warning signs to me that the EFL are looking into this, Teddy boy. And as I said, I keep saying a cheaper version. I mean, your initial thoughts and reaction to this, mate, as a fellow Championship struggler?
No.
Easy done. Yep. I've had a flashback.
I can't think of anything worse. I really can't. Just an awful idea altogether. Do you know what I enjoyed most about the cup games in this last week? The fact there was no VAR.
No VAR.
And yeah, there was a bit of a questionable one that Arsenal got in their favour against Palace. And I thought, yeah, I remember that, and I like how that feels. This game's, I mean, I think the goal yesterday that Job scored could have been maybe just a very, very fraction. It's one of those where it's probably his sleeve that's offside, but VAR would have completely ruined the emotion of that goal and kind of dragged it out for. Yeah, I'll just tell the truth, Barry. It's got to the stage now where I just don't want to see it at all. I don't want to see it in the Premier League. I don't want to see it in cup games. I don't want to see it in the Championship or the EFL. No matter how they dress it down, no matter what sort of cheap plastic version that they give us, I don't want it. Because I just feel like sort of the EFL is kind of the last bastion of football. It's kind of been untouched by things like that. Yeah, we still get the goal line technology instead of the beeper that goes off for the referee. That's fine. I'll take that. But come on, you don't want to see that ruining the likes of Yeovil games and things like that, and people taking 6 minutes to decide when it's just not in the spirit of football at all. Not in the spirit of football in the slightest. So as far as I'm concerned, they can go and whistle. Like I don't want it in the EFL. Even if we get promoted to the Premier League, I would hate to think it was there as well. I've just got no time for it whatsoever. I mean, Steve, I know you've had your ups and downs with VAR yourself, but
yeah,
can you see it? Even a cheap ass version that they're talking about rolling out into the Championship, can you see it working?
I just don't think really it's fair that that one league has it and other leagues don't. I just think if it's a technology that you're bringing into football, then you bring it into football per se. And I know they're going to say, well, financially you can't do that for the Championship divisions, 1 and 2, but why not? I think it's ludicrous when you're playing cup games, and then suddenly you're playing no VAR because what it's done is it's made referees lazy, and some referees lazy, some referees reliant on VAR. That's the problem. We've got a situation where referees have forgotten how to make a decision, or have forgotten what a foul is, or what an offside is, because they're reliant on technology bailing them out, and reliant. They know that if they make a mistake, it's going to be picked up by the VAR official, and they then they don't have to get things right. I mean, I know they're judged. I know that they're marked out of 10. And on every aspect of the game by the referee assessors, but you get where I'm coming from. I just think it's changed. It's changed how referees ref the game, and I don't think that's a positive at all. I just don't think it's positive. But if they're going to bring it into the Championship, it needs to be the same as the Premier League, because ultimately the Championship is the next step into the Premier League. So it needs to be the same. I don't think a cheap version or a cheaper version is the right way. Definitely not.
Yeah, no, look, I completely agree. I do apologise. I've got dodgy connection here in Caravan Land. Look, no, I completely agree. And look, as I said, straight off the bat, my first initial thought was, yikes, if we're going to have VAR in the Championship, let's have the proper thing, because we can't be going half, because then it just changes again if we do get promoted. Plus, look, I get it. I'm trying to accommodate the lower leagues, obviously the lower teams coming up, but eventually they're playing for, they want to be there as well. So I'm sure we can come up with something. But I think for us, if it's not the proper thing, scratch it, and we just stay as status quo. Don't go changing things that don't need to be changed at the moment. Yes, we get decisions week in, week out that are wrong, but we live them because it's human error. We don't want a cheaper version of technology to try and remove that human error and then find that the cheaper version is creating more errors or doing more harm than good. Lads, festivities are upon us. It is Christmas time once again. Can you believe it? We've stuck together another year. We've known each other for between Christmas to Christmas now. We haven't run away from each other as best as we've tried. Steve, your absolute wondrous year of poems, mate. What a goal you set out to do. It is been incredible. We've been a part of that right from the get-go of a poem. It's been incredible to be that. And Teddy Boy, for those that know of us before Three's a Crowd, we used to be together on the dark times on the radio. I was talking about that late night adult show that we used to be on, but we can't talk about that. The one before that, in between that, we had an absolute sensational little letter, if you will, a Christmas letter from Teddy Boy last year. It brought a tear to the eye. Not that you could see it, but you
there wasn't a dry seat in the house.
It wasn't a dry seat in the house. It was Christmas cake worthy, mate. It was a special moment, and one that we love. And I believe you've gone and not only done it again, but I believe it's going to be even better this year, because I'm expecting big things. Teddy, the floor is yours, mate.
Oh, well, thanks for building that one up. Yes, it's Poetry Corner. Sorry I didn't organise any music for this, but here we go. We've reached episode 17, and it's the wintry festive season. And if Yuletide isn't your thing, then don't worry. And here's your cheerful reasons. We've got Rye the Smoggy, my championship bro. His watch-alongs are quite insane. Guaranteed to pick you up like Jesus. His following grows every game. But more than that, he's our mate, and we love him like a Christmas ham. And even when he's loud and singing badly, we'll never replace him with Bam. Always good value. He'll give you a laugh if Borough are playing well or crap. Just one thing, Copper. Watch your step. Please, Rye. Mind the gap. Then there's globe-trotting Steve, our resident magpie, who says the treble is still on. When he's not on this show, he's rehearsing for roles or mixing with the stars present and gone. His stats are superb. He knows his stuff. And for a Geordie, I really think he's all right. But he traded all in for some chocolates and gin, courtesy of hospitality at the Stadium of Light. As far as mates go, I couldn't wish for better, although we live far apart. Now let's crack open a Christmas tinny and enjoy our festive show. And why not get fisters apart? Then there's you, the hundreds that watch. These three idiots speak about their clubs with love. While this poem isn't much, it's all I can give, even though you're probably wishing to be a few places above. Thanks for being with us. You're why we do this, and we promise you we have a blast. So it's Merry Christmas to you all, Geordies, Mackems and Smockies, from the Three's a Crowd Northeast Footy Podcast.
Well done,
Brilliant,
boy. God,
Brilliant.
You're good at that, hey? Big
Tom
shout out.
Tom asks, what do we think of the boxing? Well, I wrote a poem about the boxing, Tom.
He
So
did.
here you go.
He did.
Training done, talking to, time for the fighters to entertain you. These giants clash for second time, two reputations on the line. Hands held high, punches thrown, the crowd reacts with screams and groans. Fight goes the distance, scorecards are in, one hand is raised. Did the right man win? Definitely not for me. Should have been a trilogy. I'm going to watch it back. I've only watched it once. I've watched it live. I think Fury won the fight by 2 rounds. A worst case, that fight was a draw. And for him not to be given any of those rounds, the last 6 rounds, is rubbish. Absolute rubbish. But I will say, Alexander Usyk, what a champion. What a champion. I got a lot of respect for him as a fighter. I'm sure Tyson Fury has. And what a champion. What a legacy as well. Undisputed at 2 different weight divisions, cruiserweight and heavyweight. Doesn't get much better. But we've witnessed history. And credit to both lads. 2 heavyweights fighting 24 rounds in 1 calendar year against each other. That's incredible. That's history.
At that level.
At that level, that is history. And no matter what you think of Tyson Fury, he's reignited the sport of boxing in the right way for the positives. And when you turn it round from what he was, because he was a bit of a loudmouth and, etc., but that's how he became noticed. He's changed. And the guy's a hell of an ambassador for mental health. If there's anybody who can talk about mental health in sport, it's him. Being at the depths of despair that he was, to come back and become the lineal heavyweight champion of the world. That's his legacy. And if he decides not to fight again, he should be given that, given that kind of legacy. And I hope he gets some kind of recognition, because he deserves it. He really does. He's a great ambassador, and he is a great character, Ian, you're right. But that's it. That's my views on the boxing.
Yeah, no, look, it was I didn't catch the fight, obviously, but I watched the highlights this morning, Australian time, and my goodness me, look, boxing needs to have a big look at how they score them. I think we need to, that's all, we'll leave it there. Lads, festivities are upon us. Merry Christmas to one and all, especially to you, the fans of Three's a Crowd podcast. We love each and every one of you. We wish you all a Merry Christmas if you do celebrate it. We have got Boxing Day football very, very soon. A big fixture for anyone, especially across England, going and celebrating on Boxing Day. In Australia, we have the Boxing Day Test cricket starting. It's a tradition that we have that down here in the hot summer, but in England, and of course in Rise Merry Caravan, it'll be Boxing Day football for the best. Steve, obviously heading over to you, mate. We will be live hopefully next weekend as well. So stay tuned on Saturday, the 28th. We'll have a look back at the Boxing Day fixtures, but let's have a quick look ahead.
I've got this for you, right?
Oh,
I've got this for you, right?
as well, yes.
I've got you this, yeah. You've got $100, £100, 100 kangaroo pieces, whatever you're using.
Dingo dollars.
Dingo dollars, yeah. Three bands in your ultimate classic rock tour. I'll start off. I'm going to go the Beatles to start with, especially after going to see Paul McCartney this week. He was absolutely brilliant. I'm blessed to say that I saw Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr play together. I never thought I'd see that opportunity. I'm going to also pick a band that I didn't get to see in my lifetime, which was the Doors. I would certainly go to see the Doors with the Beatles. I think that would be a sublime experience. And my third band probably would surprise people, and may well get the opportunity, because obviously they've set up their own socials this year. and a lot of people suggesting that they might reunite the ones who are still with us anyway, and that's Fleetwood Mac. I would go to see Fleetwood Mac as well. So that would be my three, but in the order would be the Beatles, the Doors, and Fleetwood Mac. That's mine. What about you, Ted?
Oh, Queen, top of the list, 100%. Absolutely love Queen. Freddie Mercury for me, hands down, was absolutely just the greatest frontman of all time for me, certainly in a live situation. Okay, so Queen, yeah, definitely. Acca, I'd have to go and say Acca. I love AC/DC. So what does that leave me with? That leaves me with 20. Oh, no, this is a really tough one because I love Metallica, but I think because I'm greedy and I'm just saving me money there a little bit, I'd split the other 20 quid and I'd have Ozzy and Fleetwood Mac.
Oh,
That's a lineup. That's a
that
festival.
is a lineup. Yeah, that is a lineup. Wow,
that
is a good festival.
What about you, Ray?
Well, look, I'm going to have to spend a big $40 straight and foremost on the Eagles. I mean, how can you not? I mean, Eagles, absolutely just my type of music on a Sunday afternoon, Sunday sesh with a cold iced beer. Can we say that? I'm going to say it. Obviously the Eagles playing is one of the best. But how can I not, as an Australian, claiming one of our own Akadaka AC/DC? I mean, we claim them, and it's one of they've got many Australian anthem, many Australian pub crawl would be amiss without an AC/DC track. So that gives me, I believe, what's that? 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. I've got $30 left. Let's go a cheeky 20 on Guns N' Roses. How can you not with Guns N' Roses, baby? I mean, Guns N' Roses.
I've got 10 left, so I'll chuck ZZ Top into the mix as well.
Oh, he's got ZZ Top. Well, I'm going to have to join you right there, Steve. It's you and me as we get backstage passes to ZZ Top. I cannot go past ZZ Top. I love me some ZZ Top. So, look, that's going to be me. It's the Eagles, AC/DC, Guns N' Roses, and a backstage pass with Steve Wraith, who's the promoter of ZZ Top.
I actually saw AC/DC this year, so that's why I didn't pick them. That's for anybody thinking why didn't he pick them? But yeah, AC/DC were brilliant this year as well. So I mean, my gigs this year have been immense. I've seen Eric Clapton, Paul McCartney, and Ringo Starr, AC/DC, and I've been to see Bruce again 3 times, and Stevie Nicks. So what an amazing year for gigs. I've booked up for ELO already next year at Hyde Park, and I've booked up to see Bruce again.
He's seeing Bruce again. Wowie.
That'll be 6 times in two years, so I'm off to see him.
Hopefully a little drier this time out, mate. Hopefully it's a little bit more drier than last time.
I've got another one for you lads as well. Tufnell says, can I just have the £100? Someone asked me on social media this week, what is the right way to cut toast, lads?
Oh my gosh. It's 1 for me.
Right. Well, I'll tell you what it isn't.
It's not 2 or 3.
I don't know what kind of psychopath does number 3. What is
exactly.
That?
I don't know what that is.
Honestly, if anybody is making you toast that looks like that, get out, because that's not a healthy relationship.
Number 2.
That's dangerous. You are in danger. Number 1.
Number 2,
100%.
when you flipped it round the absolute wrong way and then gone it in the halfway again. I mean, what have you done there? I mean, you've like, if you serve that up to me, you're a psychopath. You belong in a men's. It's 1 and 1 only.
Number 2 for a jam sandwich. I get that. I kind of get it. That's the jam sandwich. But if you do,
because you get more jam on it. Is that what it is?
What sort of sicko does number 3, man?
Tufnell coming in with the uncut. He's just thrown in number 4. Steve, what did you end up going with?
I don't cut me toast.
He doesn't cut it.
I don't cut me toast. I just like to have it. I just like to have it whole. I like to have the whole thing in my hand. I don't know. I can understand why people cut it, but yeah, I mean, I just like to have the whole thing in my hands. So there we go. But, any more of them, sent them in because they're always good crack. There's always
stuff we find out about each other, lads.
Well, yeah. Sadly, some of us can't join you for a morning curry, so we got to find out somehow. Look, we got to talk festive football now as we close in on a Merry Christmas. We're going to have a quick look ahead at the games before we wrap it up here on Three's a Crowd for a more week just before Christmas as well. Teddy boy, I'm going to throw straight to you, mate. Boxing Day football at its finest. Sunderland on a high after the Norwich win. It's a short turnaround for every club after playing yesterday. Thursday football, obviously, falling for Boxing Day. But again, for me, it's a fixture that I love and look forward to. You always look forward. It's a sellout for us in the away game. But obviously, Sunderland looking to wrap, right into January, mate, on a pretty big coattail.
Yeah, there's well over 7,000 travelling down to Ewood Park to take on Blackburn. The Tufnell's answer there is just absolutely crippled me. That is, you know what? He's nailed it. The internet's won. Tufnell's won the internet.
Yeah.
That is class, absolutely. Sorry. Anyway, I got distracted by that. That's a quarter of a comment. Over 7,000 travelling to Ewood Park. It's a tough game. Blackburn are kind of starting to pull themselves together a little bit. I think because of the little bits of rotation that Regis has been like sort of experimenting with, resting Trey Hume, for instance, at right back, starting Luke O'Nien. I think we will start and see a preferred 11 from Regis over this period with just one or two minor changes. It looks to me like all things are pointing to he's building up towards his full 11 squad, his preferred 11. A few people back from injuries as well, so we should be good by then. I could actually see us putting on a bit of a good display. We haven't won at Blackburn for a long, long time, as far as I can remember. We're probably due one. Just like we were due a win down at Swansea as well. Mate, I can't see past us winning at this moment in time. I don't think it'll be a clear game by any means, but I can see us sneaking a 1-0 away from Ewood Park without a doubt.
Yeah, look, it's going to be a tough game. Obviously, Eustace is absolutely got Blackburn playing out of their skin. Everyone was shocked when he was obviously let go at Birmingham. We all know how that worked out in the end. But obviously, Sunderland playing well. It's going to be a good one. Honestly, it's one of those ones that I'm actually looking forward to watching, especially if Middlesbrough have a nightmare. But Steve, obviously, Boxing Day football, mate, one that you look toward to. I want to know two from you, mate. One, are you going to Boxing Day football? Is it on the Steve Wraith calendar? And two, how you see this game playing out for Newcastle?
Yeah, we've got a home game on Boxing Day. Any Newcastle fan will tell you we don't do very well on Boxing Day usually, but I think this will be a different matter. Aston Villa are the visitors. They beat Man City, but who doesn't, yesterday. And for me, Aston Villa's there for the taking at St James's Park. I think it'll be a shellacking. I think Newcastle will go absolutely goal crazy. They've got their form, they're finding their feet. I think they'll catch them with an early goal, and I think Villa will collapse. Villa are not the Villa that they were last season. They are suffering psychologically. Julio Geordie has tried to say that he cannot see them finishing above Newcastle again. That's a weak attempt at trying to unbalance Newcastle. I just think Newcastle will be too good for Aston Villa. The big games after that against Spurs and Man United will tell us where we're going to be at the end of the season. But yeah, I'm going for a 4-0 win against Aston Villa. I think Newcastle will hit 3 4-0 wins in a row. And Newcastle will make it a very happy Christmas for Newcastle fans.
You take that as a Christmas present, isn't any day of the week. Middlesbrough will be at home to Sheffield Wednesday. Danny Roseman coming to the Riverside for Boxing Day football. Look, it's going to be a big one, Borough fans. For me, it's something that I'm looking forward to because Middlesbrough really need to shore up the shop. We need to start defensively performing. And I think against Sheffield Wednesday, that seemed to be misfiring every now and then. It's going to be a very good test. I think, Sheffield Wednesday are no mugs. We've seen them get some good results. They've got a good young manager in Danny Rowe. It's going to be a test of tactics as well. Michael Carrick coming in against them as well. But a 3-3 victory against Plymouth has I guess, it's felt like a loss in Middlesbrough standards, I would say, because we would think we would be going in to this festive period, if not January, in a stronger position, especially when we got past Leeds, we got past Burnley. We lose the Leeds game, but we took, even honours from Burnley. But then to, 3-0, you would put Plymouth down as a winner, and now you're putting Sheffield Wednesday down as a winner. But anything can happen in the championship. But it's going to be a full fun-filled day at the Riverside Stadium. The food bank is in full force as well for those that don't know. Out the front of the Riverside Stadium, you can donate food for those in need this time of year, which is absolutely incredible gesture as well. So obviously it's a tough time for those. We are full graced with loved ones, and we feel lucky, but there are those that are less fortunate. So if you can give at this time of year, of course, please try and help out. But it is the time to wrap things up here in the last show before Christmas. We wish you all a very, very Merry Christmas from Three's a Crowd. We hope you have a fantastic day. You get everything under your tree, including Riley McGree, if that's what you asked for. I don't know who would. And I hope you all have a fantastic day, followed by Boxing Day football. And we will be back next weekend to unwrap all of the festive football that we have covered and to join you once again for the last time of 2024. Can you believe it, lads? Hey, we're all getting old.
Yeah. Well, happy Christmas. Happy Christmas to everybody. Thanks to Rob Mitchell as well for sending me. He knows I like me music. He sent us over this. Cliff Sings The Prodigy. Looking forward to getting me ears wrapped around this, mate. Includes Breed, Firestarter, Voodoo People, and Smack My Bitch Up. I'm looking forward to that, Rob. Thanks very much.
Just what anyone wants.
Merry Christmas, everybody. Have a fantastic day.
See you,
we will see you next weekend for Three's a Crowd.
Merry Christmas.
Three's a Crowd podcast will return. That's not a threat, it's a promise.